top 3 hip-hop artists of all time. Notice I didn't say rappers. Hip-hop artists of all time. And you can tell me whether or not you want to do rappers or hip-hop artists, or if that's the same thing to you, because sometimes people don't agree to that. But dead or alive.
I'm very prepared because I have a lot of arguments about this. Can I go with Young Thug, Uzi Vert, and Lil Yachty? I'm just joking.
Oh, you notice I was like, what?
No. So here's the thing, and I will argue to the depths with anybody about this. If you have a hip hop list, all time, living, dead, whatever you want, and Jay-Z is not at the top of your list, that is a problem for me. We are going to argue about that, and everybody's going to talk about, well, lyrics and content and this, and he didn't take. Jay-Z is at the top of the list for everything. He's Michael Jordan, he's Muhammad Ali, he's whatever you want to say. Whether you like him or not, whatever you want to throw up, Jay-Z's probably going to have you beat by a large scale on a number of things. So I would say Jay-Z is at the top of my hip-hop greatest of all time, and we'll argue why about that. The rest of it, obviously, there's a lot of debate, but I go with my golden era, which I would consider the 90s when I talk about like that mid to late 90s. So Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, in that vein, right? And throw in the Wu-Tang. You can throw them in as individuals, or you can throw them in as a group. Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, Wu, all of that is kind of the golden spectrum for me. Now, I understand, because I know what's going to happen. I understand Big Daddy Kane and Rakim. I understand all of these other people. I understand all the arguments that you can make, you know, whether it's Eminem or 50 Cent or Kanye. I understand all of that. But you're not going to beat Jay-Z, Big, Nas, Wu, that kind of stuff, because they got Ray and Ghost. You can't beat that lineage of what I consider the best era in hip-hop.
What we have out now, in 20 years, will they still be at the top?
The good ones, yeah, sure.
No. Like Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, the Wu.
They've got
20 years from now.
Yeah, because you're 20 years from now, you play Hypnotize anyway, it's still gonna have the same reaction. You're gonna play that If I Ruled the World, whatever, is gonna have the same reaction. So, yes, those artists and that music is gonna stand the test of time, and it'll be put in with Eric B. and Rakim and all the stuff that they did. I will tell you this, and this is where all of that people don't really get mad at me about. This is where people get mad at me, and I will say it on camera, wherever the camera is. Tupac is overrated. I say it, I stand by it. As an MC, as a rapper, he is an amazing personality. He could be a leader, whatever you want to call it. But if you're going bar for bar and you're trying to tell me that Tupac is a better MC than Jay-Z, Nas, Biggie, don't even have that argument with me. You can say that he's more charismatic. You can say they had a bigger following. You can say that he was more of a revolutionary. All that could be true. But when you talk about greatest hip-hop artist of all time, Tupac is he's very far down on my list.
You think we'll ever see a Hip Hop Hall of Fame? Like an actual brick and mortar building that will honor?
It depends on what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame does. As long as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame keeps letting hip hop artists in, at the clip that they're letting hip hop artists in, they're not gonna separate it and make it hip. They could put some nice memorial or museum in the Bronx where the hip hop was birthplaced. But I'll tell you what you're seeing now, which is I think even more exciting, because you have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But what you're seeing now is these hip hop student collectives. And you're starting to see them. There's a great one over at William & Mary. There's some good ones. There's a good one over at Cornell. The more you start, there's the Hip Hop Archive at Harvard where Ninth Wonder was. So the more you're starting to see it really wrapped in the fabric of education, when they do these music appreciation classes and you have people talking about Nas, that is, to me, what's going to change it and solidify it and make it in the culture for all time. Because now you're teaching. So one of the things that you hear about in history, in American history, especially if you go through K-12 education, is they don't teach our history. They don't teach history for people that look like me or you. And by them doing that, it's easy to dismiss it. They can, you know, you can dismiss Black history because it's not taught the proper way. If you start putting hip hop in Harvard and they start teaching it the proper way, you can't dismiss it.
Last question, and then we gotta go.
Gotta go.
Who's the youngest in charge right now? In the hip hop, yeah. Who do you feel is the youngest in charge?
That's funny. I think I laugh at the question only because you and I both know that there's a personality in Richmond that calls himself the youngest.
I'm sorry.
It was like, it was funny. No disrespect, it's not going to be him.
Yeah.
No, when you look, I think we're in an amazing generation of hip hop artists right now. Like, so if, like I said, if Jay-Z, Big, Nas, Blues, that's my time. Right now, we're in the middle of something really special when you look at Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Big Sean, you know, Wale, J. Cole. You look at all these guys and what they're doing now, you're in a very special era. Who's the best out of all of those?
In your opinion.
Again, it's Biggie, Tupac, or Jay Nas, in the sense of, which is great, because you can have those arguments. So, in my opinion, if you like the content and the bars of J. Cole, he's gonna be, or the content and bars of Kendrick Lamar. J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar are a little bit in the cut in the same cloth in that way. They're gonna beat Drake. But if you like the hits, you can't deny Drake's greatness on delivering hits. Mark Cheatham, personally, I love Chance the Rapper. I love Joey Badass. I love those two guys because they give me, Chance the Rapper is so impressive to me as an artist, as what he does with his production, but also he's fearless in the sense of he went on SNL and did a rap song with a gospel twist and said Jesus in the thing on SNL, live on camera. And you don't get that type of guts, even though you used to get it with a Public Enemy or used to get it with a KRS. What some of the things that Chance is doing, or some of the things that J. Cole is doing with their platforms, or some of the things that Kendrick is doing with their platform, is fearless in the way that those guys are fearless and they deliver content like a Nas or like a, you know, somebody that's really, really lyrical. So I really am impressed. You know, I love what's happening right now. And again, for every mainstream people we're talking about, in the 90s there was a Boot Camp Clique or a Lost Boys, and now there's a, you know, a West Side Gun or someone like that. And I will say this before we break, because I know we gotta get out of here. Richmond hip hop as well is in a really, really good place. You got some really talent, whether it's Michael Millions, Radio B, whether it's what the young guys, Fly Anakin and Concept Mune Academy are doing, whether it's what Noah O is doing, whether it's all of the artists, again, and I'm not even talking about artists on Southside like Ed the Realist, or Ed the Realist, he's not Southside, but, well, he might be, but not even talking about what some of those guys are doing. We've got really great music here in Richmond as well, some really great live hip-hop, and we're just in a really good place. But if you didn't know that, if you didn't go out and experience it, you wouldn't think that we haven't had, you know, you wouldn't think that we have such a exciting scene, but we do.